What is happening, Blades? And welcome back to the Blades Ramble. And a couple of disclaimers before I kick off. Literally. I've not calmed down as much as I'd want to. I've been apathetic up to this point, which is sad in itself, but I am absolutely raging at what I've seen this afternoon. And we'll come on to that, and I'll try and calm myself as I speak to you, because I know we sometimes act as a bit of therapy for each other. So there's that. What I want to do is also it's a channel of freedom of speech, this, and I want you to be able to say what you want. I'm going to try my best not to read out any comments that are sort of too like sweary, if you like. Listen, I get how people are feeling, and you say whatever you like, but I just want it to be as inclusive a channel as possible. So I want kids to be able to come here and know that it's a safe place. So that's the other thing. And I can't remember what other thing I'm going to say, because I'm absolutely, I cannot, I'm so mad. Oh, the other thing was, look, I am clearly still well on and never really got off, even though I tried to, the Hecky out train. I think 99% of us are now there. I'm fully expecting him to go tonight, fully expecting it. I haven't seen anything yet. I'm going to keep looking while I'm talking to you. But I would like Chris Wilder in. I think Chris Wilder will come in. This is just before I get into what we're going to talk about, but I think it will be Wilder based on a few things. Alan Biggs has reported previously that he's been lined up, essentially. That was in one of his earlier reports. Whether that's still the case, I'm not entirely sure. But just because I want Wilder in, I don't want us all to be sort of fighting over Wilder's this, Wilder's that, Ecky's this, Ecky's that, because at a time like this, when the club is broken, it is a broken club at the minute. There's no identity to us, no identity at all. And it's sad, because we'll get into it. But the main gist of what I'm trying to say is the fan base, as much as possible, has to try and stay together, because we're the only thing left keeping this club afloat, really, to a degree. And we all want our own things, and it's all because we want the best for the club. Those that don't want Wilder in, it's either because he's not done much since he left United, and I can take that, or it's the way that he left United, and I can take that as well. But today, it's about who's currently in charge, and what an absolute shambles of a performance that was. I get, and I hear all the rhetoric about he wasn't backed in the summer, he's been working with his hands tied. I take that, and even if we consider that as more than valid, which I think a lot will, then he has still selected the players that we bring in. Even if it's a limited budget, we've still spent an awful lot of money. Maybe not in terms of a net spend, which is an absolute justified gripe to have. But he's selected these players that came in. And I'll be honest, when we signed Gus Hamer and we signed Cameron Archer, I was over the moon. And I still am. And I still think they've got, hopefully, a future at this club. Listen, I can't see it if we get relegated, to be honest. I think they'll go, but I still think they would be great signings for this football. I don't regret signing him or anything, but I mean, just to start off on Gus Hamer, he is not the player we signed from Coventry. He is not. We're not playing to his strengths. He's not one that comes and breaks up play, because he can't do it, clearly. There were so many red flags just today. We've seen so many before today, but I mean, we can go through the team. I thought Wes was appalling. They hit the post, they hit the bar. It could have been so much worse. He spilled one out to feet, and they ended up hitting the post. He got beat at his near post, which is it's a big no-no for goalkeepers. He's a Premier League goalkeeper. Absolutely woeful. I thought Anel started off okay, looked quite bright, and then got back into his usual bad habits. Trusty, I really like Trusty. I really want it to work out for him. But I watched a game with my dad this afternoon, Andy the Blade, and we were both saying, you can see there is a decent player. You know, he's got a lot of skill, and he's got a lot of ability, but he switches off and he leaves his man. And I'm not saying he was totally responsible for any of goals in particular today, but I mean, Jack Robinson's done a decent job in middle at 3, but he don't pull up any trees. Luke Thomas was appalling today, absolutely appalling. I don't think he could have done much with the goal that he was clearly involved in. He left his man, but that first touch took it away from him, and he were beating all ends up. But I just thought in general he was woeful. The one thing that really upset me today was George Baldock. I don't know if he were carrying an injury or what. I'll try and give him as many outs as I can because you know what I think of George. But he looked like a beaten player today. He looked like a player playing the game with his head down. And I've never seen that from him. Never. It were like after we went 1 down, it were as if he'd sort of given up. And I know he went off injured early doors and Bogle came on, and Bogle is not doing it at Premier League level. You know, he'll do a decent job in Championship while we're a possession-based team and going forward. But he certainly weren't doing it today, and he's not done it this season, despite a goal against City. What was he doing? Listen, I'm all for Vinny Souza coming out of the team because we suggested it ourselves in our team selection because he's not been doing it on Vinny Souza. But to bring John Fleck in, it's an absolutely appalling decision. I tweeted when the teams came out a gif of a kid going, "Fire me, just sack me now," because I think that's what he was trying to do. He's trying to get sacked. It must be, because how is John Fleck, who's been out injured for so long, in terms of the magnitude of the game, we'll come on to that as well, but it just was so off the pace, it were untrue. If you're James McAtee or Slimani even, what have they got to do? What have they got to do to get a chance in this team? Imagine if you're somebody like Andre Brooks, who's trying to break in through youth system. Nothing is going right for the first team. What else does Andre Brooks have to do? It's woeful. Absolutely woeful. I thought Gusema, as I said, were well off the pace. And then McBurney. Look, I try my best to defend McBurney. I thought he was poor today, up until his sending off. I don't think the second yellow was a yellow card. But you've given him a choice to make anyway at keeper, haven't you? Referee, I mean. You've given ref a decision to make when you jump in. I think it's a natural jump. But he's on a yellow card. It were a light first yellow anyway. So I just think, oh, God. And then Cameron Archer didn't get a sniff, did he? I see him coming out to left wing to try and collect the ball. See him dropping deep again to try and make things happen in the middle. Get him in the box. We need him in the box. He's a finisher. We're not playing to his strengths at all. My dad was saying, we were on about the Billy Sharp interview before kickoff. And we were saying, they talked about Jermaine Defoe in that interview. And the whole thing was that Allardyce had identified that Defoe were his best striker, best finisher by a country mile. So what he said to Defoe was, you get in the box and we will get the ball to you in the box. That's all we need to do. That's all we need to do for Cameron Archer. It's so straightforward. Tell him, you know, don't come out of the D. Don't come further back than the edge of the D, because that is your domain. That last third of the pitch, I don't want you any further back than that. It needs to be on the shoulder of the last man. We've talked about it so many times. So players' performances individually were woeful. They don't know what their job is individually. There's no plan. There's no strategy to what we're doing. He has got to go, and he's got to go tonight. I'm still looking. And it's not come yet. People saying, Bladesman's just tweeted, if he don't get sacked now, I don't think he ever will. Come on, what's happening? What is going on with our club? Who, when you think about Sheffield United, or people talk to you about Sheffield United, they will often say, they might have got it right, they might have got it wrong. The general consensus, I think, from outside of the club is some will think we're a kick and rush team. Some will harken back to the Bassett days where we could mix it up and play a little bit or whatever, but known to be quite rough and tough and long ball. Warnock used to do the same. I think Wilder added a touch of class to the way that we played, but we were always a tough team, like as in tough players, never went down easily, always fought. You had to turn up and beat Sheffield United. Play well if you were going to beat us. There is nothing. We roll over now. I cannot remember a time where we have so easily rolled over. We've been done 8-0, 5-0, 5-0, all in one season. All in one season. I can't remember the last time we were done 5-0 before this season. I can't honestly remember. We may have done once, but I cannot remember it. And I just think, what has happened? What has happened to the identity of our club? We're an absolute shadow. We're being ripped apart and we are rotting. We are rotting at the core. There's no semblance of what we know our club to be. And it makes me sad. We don't expect to be turning up and turning everybody over. We don't expect to have the best players play for us. But we expect to fight. We expect to go down swinging. We don't mind, but we half expect to struggle in the Premier League because of the gap. And in some instances, I wouldn't mind being relegated if we went down getting relegated with pride. You look at a team like Luton, who've come up, and they're not on the same level as most Premier League sides, but they're throwing the kitchen sink at them. They're giving everything they've got in every game. And you don't mind that. If the players are giving everything they've got, our heralded, our much respected away support, who I put up there with the top support in the country, always back the team, always turn up in numbers. I've joined them very rarely, not as much as I should have done, but I choose to commit time to family and listen in times like this. I'm glad of it. But even our loyal away support were booing the team. We don't turn on the team until it's absolutely last chance saloon. Absolutely appalling. Absolutely appalling what's happened to our club. It's unrecognisable and we need to change something. He needs to go. There's no two ways about it. He has to go, and he has to go tonight. Otherwise, what is it going to take? You lose to a club that's not won a point at home all season. They've not 7 games played, 0 points. Even we were better than that in terms of our record. He should have gone after Newcastle, and we were saying this. And I get that people wanted to blame the Prince and wanted to blame the players and wanted to show loyalty to Eki, who did a good job with us last season. But he chose which players came in to rebuild this squad. He was given the money from the sales of Illiman and Sander. And yes, you might think he should have had more. And I understand that. Again, we're not going to go over that too much. But where is his accountability? And don't get me started on his post-match. I've only seen a clip of his post-match today. And he sort of, I know, no good that, what it. I don't really want to be here, but I've got to speak to, what? Somebody posted on Twitter again, and I'm going to flip between things because I've lost my head today. I'm so glad I waited a little bit. I spoke to Nick, and because me and Nick don't like to overlap each other. There's no point. It don't benefit either of us. And so I don't watch his thing because I don't want to influence how I'm going to go. But I'll watch it later. But he was saying I'm apathetic. He's at the point where he's like, we expect it. And I'm saying, mate, I'm glad you're going first because I've lost my head. I had literally gone. I've been like that after Bournemouth. I was just like, it's knocked stuffing out of me. It's I feel a little bit, nonplussed and a bit. Well, this is crap, innit? I am raging tonight. Absolutely raging. I cannot believe. I can't. Look. Has he gone yet? Has he gone? Darren Smith. I always read Darren Smith's post-match tweets because I think he goes really well. And while we're live and while we're talking about it, let's read it out loud so that you can all either agree or disagree. Because I think he always talks a lot of sense, whether you agree with him or not. He's a friend of the channel, friend of mine, and I want to see what he has to say. So he's put, I think the fans and the board have recognised that the club gave Eki an extremely tough deck of cards this summer. We could maybe have competed with a low budget and Illy in the team, but he's leaving and the decision not to dip into future income meant Eki was joining a gunfight with a water pistol. But as Luton have shown, you can with a clear style of play and signing players that know their roles and comfortable, give teams problems. Yes, you will lose most weeks. Yes, you will take some hammerings, but you should expect progression and new signings improving as they settle. And when you come to the winnable games, knowing you probably don't need to win that many this season, put the beatings behind you and fight like dogs in these 6-pointers. 1-8 in our 6-pointers, passive. 1-8 in our 6-pointers, passive in the first at the lane, and desperate. Oh, he's talking about we're 1 goal to 8. So 1-4, 8 against in our 6-pointers so far. Passive in the first at the lane and desperate team selections in the second. Fleck and Thomas. Both games as good as over at half time. New signings played out of position, benched or not even used, looking worse week by week. Relying on old heads for whom wear and tear and age can't be reversed, no matter how much you wish they could. It's quite simple. No matter how much we owe Hecky for turning the club around post-COVID, CW, Slav, and for fronting up during the embargo and training pitch delays while getting results on the pitch, he has run out of ideas and how to get a tune out of this squad post-Illy. Maybe nobody gets the tune out of them post-Illy, but if we don't roll the dice and find out the rest of the season is as inevitable as night follows day. The fans are flat. They need a lift. The players are lost. They need a change. It's time. It's happening, isn't it? If Darren's saying that, Darren, who has given every opportunity to Eki, when I wasn't, look, I respect Darren's opinion. As you know, I talk about him a lot on the Ramble because I think he's, we know he's close to the Prince and I think he talks a lot of sense, but we don't always agree. I've been saying for weeks we need a change. And Darren, when I've spoken to him personally and it's on his, he speaks to other people about it, he has given Eki every single opportunity, as has the board. And people have their problem with the board, and I understand that. And I'm not saying yay or nay in terms of what they should or shouldn't have done. But one thing you can say is they haven't given him an opportunity to turn it around. He has had so long now, looking clueless for so many games. Who survives this sort of battering week after week and isn't sacked? Who, if he has to go, and now Darren's saying it's time, then I'll be amazed, absolutely amazed, if he sees the end of the night. And personally, well, we need a plan B in terms of who comes in. I think Chris Wilder fits like a glove. I know these aren't his players necessarily. Some have still played under him. Just unbelievable. And it's not a time to say it either. This isn't a case of I was right, they were wrong. None of that. Because, they'll still have the reasons for saying we should have given him a bit longer and he might have turned it around. And if a ball drops a certain way in a certain game, then things might be different. If McBurney don't get sent off, some people might think that game changes. I don't think so. I think starting John Fleck was a white flag from Heckingbottom. I just absolutely unbelievable. And I'm sorry, I know I've gone on for a long time there, but there's more to come because I'm absolutely raging about it. Joe starts us off. Eki won't get sacked until after Brentford because the short turnaround between games. You can't do that, Joe. You can't wait, mate. And I know you probably say, not that you want this to happen, but I think that's what you're assuming might happen. If you haven't got time to get Wilder or whoever it is in, get a caretaker in because you need to change it. You can't just keep waiting until it's a nice little break between games. I know that's been the reason previously. You gotta go. Players look tired after 5 minutes, no effort, no passion. End it now. Neil Eki has to go. These players don't have any pride or passion to wear that Blades shirt. When we go down, we'll struggle with a lot of players leaving. Archer back to Villa and others being sold. We will, but I think because we've been so conservative in the summer, the only silver lining we take from it if we're relegated is we'll be in a very strong position financially. So we've no debts in the club or very little operational debt, if you like. Archer goes back, so we recoup what we've paid. And I think we'll have enough funds to go again. There'll be players that have release clauses that will sell. Like if we got a £25 million bid for an L in the summer, you'd snap their hand off, wouldn't you, at a minute? That is a lot of money in the Championship to go again. Eki out, says S. Andy says Eki's got to go now. It's so embarrassing. So embarrassing. Absolutely right. Stu, evening pal, passionless tactics. And to play Fleck, he's taking the mickey. He has to be sacked. Absolutely right. We're a laughing stock of the Premier League. A season will go down in history as the worst. Pass me my coat. That's another thing, isn't it? We are record breakers all the way around. I think we've conceded most goals up to this point. No team's conceded more goals at this stage of the season. We could well hit that Derby County record if we don't change it. He should have gone weeks ago now after playing 2 teams in our mini league. Gets battered by both inexcusable. My dad were laughing at me today because he was saying in survival rivals, am I kicking myself out first? Because we're the ones that are going to be cut adrift. So am I the one that leaves the group and they do it without me? Maybe so. Because it's a League of One, isn't it? They'll need to show him the door because he can't find a win. No more excuses. I, for one, won't be going again. Neither will I watch it on telly, I suppose. It means season ticket holder garbage. That's sad, isn't it? That's sad, that. Where's our refund? For those that went today, they 100% deserve a refund. That were absolutely abysmal. Freezing cold, and it's not the first time either, is it? It's these fans, these supporters travel up and down the country. Our away following is absolutely, as I say, I put it up there with best in country. And there were no effort. There were no desire for him today. I don't know if Eki came out and clapped. I assume not. I saw him on the pitch sort of consoling some players after the game. Didn't come over and clap after Bournemouth. Just spineless. Like the team. He ought to have the balls to walk, says Stu. Never seen a Blades team implode like that, says Bry. 3 times this season now. Newcastle, Bournemouth, now Burnley. Sat on the fence, gave him a chance. It's time. No effort, no plan. Tactically inept. Shocking. Absolutely right. I'm done. New defensive coach. We haven't even started on Mark Hudson, have we? Stealing a living. That, I'm not blaming it all on Mark Hudson, but we are all at sea. We used to be so solid defensively. We've never been a team that's, gone and absolutely hammered teams 4, 5, 6 because we're such a great creative attacking outlet. But one thing you can always rely on Sheffield United to be is solid and difficult to beat. Well, not at the minute. Bring in Hassan Hootel or Eustace and start planning for the next season in the Championship. If Eki's still in charge Wednesday, then we will not go. I'm fuming over 2 consecutive games with no commitment whatsoever. I feel sorry for McAtee. I bet he wishes he went to Leicester now. I bet he does. McAtee doesn't fit with us this season. He's a good player. I'm not saying he don't improve us in terms of he's a higher quality level than most in the squad, but he's not what we need. He is not what we need in the squad. Set up to play defensive again, and yet again, no plan B, says Pete. Think the players know it's not working. You can tell with the look on their faces. Time to clear out. Start with Eki and the coaches. Absolutely, Pete. They're not playing for him. They don't believe in him. They're not with him, are they? And neither are we. Jimmy, I'm so angry. We'll probably go and spend more money this week. I know, me too, pal. Me too. I live in Sweden, but I have a season ticket for Bramall Lane. I can't keep chucking money away to watch absolutely embarrassing Sunday in the Park football. Absolutely right. Beam me up. Absolutely right. Spent over €300 on paddle stuff last week because that Bournemouth result. You're similar to myself then, aren't you, Stu? You have to sort of release somehow and spend. It's ridiculous, isn't it? We need to have a word. Cody, welcome, pal. Welcome back. Nice to see you, bud. Thank you for the support. Shout out for the fans. Bring back Chrissy. Absolutely right. Andy says, I'm struggling to produce a coherent sentence at the minute. I'm gobsmacked. See, I'm not. It's not surprising, is it? That's the unfortunate thing. Not for me anyway. It's miserable. Absolutely miserable. This one honestly hurts, says Anthony. It certainly does, mate. It's all good, though, because Eki won't be judged on what happens on a 3 p.m. kickoff. It's ridiculous. He certainly will, and he better be going. He better be gone. I just think, no, nothing yet. Nothing at all. I tweeted earlier, is Carlos Arbor still backing him? I don't know if somebody saw on Football Heaven, Blades Heaven podcast, Asaba, who has had a little pop at us, so we can have a little pop back at him every now and again. I don't want him sacked. I think he's doing a good job. I think he's improving these players, and that's out of context. because he did caveat that with other things, like you don't think performances have been good enough and things like that. But absolute nonsense for me, that. Absolute nonsense. And he's entitled to his opinion, but I completely disagree. I don't think he's improved anybody. I think it can be argued that he did well to bring Illiman on, but other than that, I don't see much improvement to anybody. He's not run with any of the youth. Nobody's got a chance in the first team, really, other than Willa Sula in times of desperation. And it was desperation today. You could tell when he brought the 3 attackers on at half time. He's never done that before. It shows how desperate he was. Go and save my job. It were either, I said to my dad, it's going to go one or two ways. This we'll either nick one early and get back into it, and it could be real end-to-end stuff, or it's going to start to build in it and be a cricket score, which it went that way, unfortunately. I've never seen a United team this bad ever, says John. It reminds me of when Adkin, I don't think it was as bad as this. No identity, no passion, and Eki is in denial. I love this club. It has to change. Absolutely right, John. Huge supporter of the channel. Thank you, pal. Is this supposed to be worth 150 million? It's not worth jumping at all, is it? Wilder might not be the right choice, but we will instill passion. Yeah, it's going to be split into, but listen, we need to change it. Eki says he's looked at the stats and we run just as much as Burnley. Only difference is they weren't headless chickens. It's one of them, innit? Yeah, look at this. That were after the Bournemouth game. That infuriated more people. I don't think he can read the room very well. He's a very intelligent man, but I don't think he reads the room all the time. Or he just don't care. You know, the running stats were good against Bournemouth. I think it was just out of possession that we struggled. You're joking, aren't you? You are joking. Get him gone now, says Sligo Blade. Eki has to go get Wilder until end of the season, then review. This team is an absolute embarrassment, and it's not a United team. Absolutely right, it's not. He needs to go, says Liam. Last 2 games were must-wins. What do? We lay down, we get our bellies tickled. It's embarrassing. Eki and his coaching staff are inept. There's no fight, no tactics, no spirit. That's exactly right. How can you not get up for these 2 games? How can... I'd have backed us to be stronger in years gone by, to be stronger mentally than both of these sides. And we will, particularly the Bournemouth game at Bramall Lane, and that would then ride a wave of momentum into this away game. But it's not there under Eki. The clappers will come out with the normal blah, blah, money, blah, doing his best to give him until next season, blah. I've been going, and I'm a season ticket holder since 72. I say it as it is. We are garbage. We are garbage. And I think even those, what you're calling happy clappers, and I get that, will now be turning. And it's not a case of, haha, we're right, you were wrong. No, I would rather have been wrong myself. And, you know, I've come out of these last 2 with 4 or 6 points. It's just not been good enough. He's not been good enough. Some of us have said it for longer than others. It don't matter, does it? Change it now. Change it now. I don't listen and can't listen to his excuses. Says Andrew, his team and his tactics, his coaching. The buck stops with him and his coaches. Get rid now. Absolutely right. Nothing in defence midfield attack. Ollie McBurney selfishly spat his dummy out, not a team player. That's another thing, to be fair, because I've been on the bandwagon of, look, he's maturing, he's potentially captain material, and people are questioning that now, and understandably so. I do think you have to sort of question that in terms of his temperament on the field. It's all right having passion for what you do, but you've got to be a bit cleverer than that. So that weren't acting like a captain today, were it? I have to say, and his performances haven't been up to it either. I appreciate he's been out for a long time. Eki's got to go now, says Danny. So toxic around the place. New ideas needed. Hopefully Forrest lose and Cooper gets the sack so we can have him good with youth and can get a team promoted if we did go down. We've no chance of getting Steve Cooper, mate. I hope I'm wrong. I don't think we've any chance. It's rumoured that Palace wants him anyway, and obviously they're a more attractive proposition. I think he'll want to try and stay in and around Premier League. His stock's high. We are championship bound, let's be right, unless a miracle happens. I hope I'm wrong, but I'm 95% sure it'll be Chris Wilder. We have no identity, clueless tactically and passionless, really naffed off. Absolutely, Stu Patterson. This is the Premier League, not the Championship. Get our game on. Chris says, unbelievable to say that in a season with an 8-0 loss at home that today is the lowest point. Absolutely, mate. I'm an Irish fan surrounded by Big Six fans, but I've never been embarrassed to support this club until now. I've seen a lot of that tonight. A lot of I'm embarrassed to be a Blade, which is horrendous. Horrendous. I've had some messages from Leeds mates. It's to be expected. It's part of the merry-go-round, isn't it? But it's appalling. Ian, thank you, pal. Really appreciate the donation to the channel. And I want Eki gone as much as the next man. I'm truly saddened by the vitriol and abuse he is receiving. One of only 5 managers in my life as a Blade to take us up into the top flight, up the Blades, up the Ramble. I understand that, Ian. And it's just a sad situation, isn't it? And I think, to be honest, that, to me, resonates in terms of maybe we pull the trigger a bit earlier and save his reputation. If you think he's not going to work out, why are we extending the inevitable? If you'd have sacked him after Newcastle 8-0, then I don't think he gets half the amount of stick he gets now a little bit further down the line. I think it's potentially a little bit irresponsible to have left him this long because he does tarnish his reputation, particularly now that the players aren't playing for him. I don't think it's nice that people have a pop, but it's understandable. So I can't say I'm favourable towards him because I'm not. I think he's not been good enough. He's still collecting a really healthy wage as well, I'm sure. So he won't be too upset if he's given his marching orders tonight because he'll be nicely compensated. But for the club, it has to happen. It has to happen. David says, hi, Jimmy. I've backed Eki, but after the last 2 games, it's time to go. I've watched the Blades since, 1966, home and away. This is the worst team ever. No fight, no passion. It's time to go. Absolutely right, mate. I didn't want to say this, but sadly, it's time to go for Eki. Players should be fined, not fit to wear the shirt as a punishment. They should play the under-23s against Liverpool, truly the worst side. I'd like to see some younger lads get a go. And I don't mean to give up on the season and play the youngsters as in like, well, this is the alternative because we're going to be in Championship next year. I still want us to give everything we have because I think if we make a change, well, I'd have preferred it 2 games ago, 3 games ago, 4, 5. But I'll still have a glimmer of optimism about this season. So I'm not saying we don't go, and try and change something, but I still think we can bleed some of these youngsters. We saw how well, I thought Will Asula played well again when he came on. So I'm not against giving some of these youngsters a chance. I think he got lucky last season, stumbling onto McAtee and Doyle to get us over the line. He's rubbish, says Stu. I disagree with that. I think he's done well to spot McAtee and Doyle when nobody really... Doyle had been about a little bit, but McAtee sort of plucked and they did well for us. Individual skills are missing. Are any of the players up to Premier League standard? No, says Joe. Joe, sorry. But I think they can play up. I think they can play up to the level. I don't give up. I think half of the team could make that step up. I'm not saying they're all Premier League standard. They're not. There is a big gulf in quality. But he's chosen the players to bring in. He chose to spend, almost 10 million quid on Larouci, Slimani, Traore. Is it a good investment? Don't look like it because they're not getting near, are they? I mean, I know Traore came on today, but looking forward to this, says Stu. Correct, Stuart. Illy, Doyle, McAtee, but let's not look through rose-tinted glasses. Last season wasn't brilliant. Our left side was poor. Honestly, Andrew, Eki Outsal says this all the time, and she's been... shout out to Eki Outsal. She's been saying this since well into last season. We are stumbling over the line to promotion, and the team are getting promoted in spite of Eki. That's been her view all the way through. You may agree with that, you may not. But my Aunt Sal has been on that all the way through. And to be fair, on reflection, she appears to be right. So fair play. Hi, Jimmy. Must admit the last 60-odd years of following the Blades, I don't think I've ever been so depressed. Something has to change. It's awful, isn't it? We're in Premier League and it's not fun at all. We got fortunate, says Stu. Sorry, but enough is enough, says Bryson. Players look lost out there and not for the first time this season. Not saying get Wilder back, but we would never crumble like that. The passion is well and truly gone. I retweeted something that somebody put, and it were Wilder, when he were in charge of us, having a go at the team. He said, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. You can see it on my Twitter timeline, X timeline, whatever it is now. Can't remember what lad where I originally retweeted it from, but he's basically saying, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It's not good enough. We expect more from our players. All this sort of thing. He's not trying to pull the wool over anybody's eyes saying, well, running stats show that we kept up with him, but they're an athletic team. We knew they were going to be athletic and it were going to be tough. Load of rubbish. You can't kidder. Look, you're fooling nobody, Eki. Absolutely nobody. Just come out and say it. They weren't good enough. If you want to shift the blame to the players, at least it's more understandable. At least we think then that you're seeing something that we're seeing. Whether we agree with you or not that it's the players' fault, but they don't believe in you either. It's gone. He's gone. It's got to be. Absolutely disgusted with the starting 11, and once again we concede an early goal. 15 bloody seconds, says Mr. V, with a laughing stock of the whole league. If the Prince doesn't sack him now, he's an idiot. I think he will. I think he will. Only have to mention Fleck in the starting lineup. What the hell? Absolutely right. Starting Fleck and Norwood in midfield. What the actual? Wasn't a good enough combo in the Championship. Hecky is clueless. He bombed that duo out in the Championship himself. That game today, embarrassing. Hecky out now. Get Wilder back. Bang on Eamon. Sadly, enough is enough. Fleck Norwood. As soon as I saw that, oh well. Further words useless. Can't really get any worse, says Sean. Oh, we play Liverpool on Wednesday. Something has to give. It's time for our man to come back, pal. It's been time. It is time. It's been time for a while, isn't it? Hilly, everyone said Billy Sharp was not good enough for the Prem, but he would play better than any player on that pitch today. I'm not convinced by that, pal. Not convinced. I love the sentiment, but Billy weren't up to it in Championship last year, in my opinion. He'd give a lot more on the pitch, though, in terms of his effort levels. Be right, only Liverpool next, says Wayne. Eki should have gone after Newcastle, says Dan. What Bettis and Prince thinking? The club feels so negative because of this, as the fan base is split. For good of the club, got to sack him now. Jimmy up the blades. Susan, good evening. We should have known after the statement that accepted relegation as a possibility before a ball was kicked. I gave it till Burnley. He has to go now, says Chip Butty. Owner, board, management team, players are an absolute embarrassment and disgrace to our famous old club. Please get out of our club. Up the blades. Scotty, what's with all the doom and gloom? Eki, all Eki, right? Don't be on wind up tonight, Scott. Read the room, pal. Just embarrassing, says Paul. It can't get worse, so I'm all for a change. Coaching staff out for me. It's not that they've been beat by skill or just better players. We've just been out fought and out battled. Absolutely right. Absolutely right. It's both, isn't it? They're not good enough and then being outworked, which is a criminal sin as a Blade. You can never get outworked. Graham says absolute shambles. No excuses, Eki out. I want Wilder in by tomorrow, says William. Eki out now. It simply has to happen. I'm having a look because I'm behind on your comments. So if you're telling me in the comments it's happening, I won't get to it till later, so I have to keep checking. He's got to go tonight. 6 games too late for me. Wilder or Warnock for me, even if just till end of season, says Ian. 10,000%, William, in terms of you want Wilder in tomorrow. Jimmy Foster. Jimmy, it's shambles today, mate. Hudson bringing players in he doesn't fancy. All pals act in the summer regarding all these horrendous, stubborn tactics. We need Chris to restore some pride in the badge. Well said, pal. Well said. Today was the first time I've ever not wanted to even turn the game on before it started, says Gabe. Shocking, innit? Shocking. Eki won't be sacked till they get back to Sheffield and do it face-to-face at Shirecliffe. Well, if Prince is in LA or wherever he is, I don't know where the Prince is at the moment, then, well, we'll be waiting a while. If you mean Betis, I don't know why they would. I think it's not really. I don't think we'll have to wait that long, to be honest. Eustace, anyone? Not for me. Not for me. Wilder with Billy number 2. Maybe. It's now time. Done my best back in. Hecky. But let's not go down a route we've already been down. Hecky took over when CW couldn't do it. See, it will split opinion. I understand that. Stop saying Warnock, says Roy. He's old news. It won't be Warnock. No chance. We're supposed to be up for sale, says Andy. I know. Yeah. Who wants to buy this? How many more matches can we go, says Smudge? Same old, same old. Can't take any more after watching the Blaze 50 years. This is pathetic. Eki out now and Wilder in tonight. Absolutely disgusting, says Ryan. Combined with last week's horror show, Eki, thanks, but you're no longer in control of that dressing room and must leave. Take the Prince too. Josh, evening, pal. Get Wilder back. Get our identity back. Don't mind losing every week, but it's the manner which we're doing it. Thank you, pal. Nail on head. It's the manner, isn't it? We don't want to lose. Obviously, Josh ain't saying that. It's the manner in which we're losing. We're rolling over. It's just sad, says Vicky. I know. No motivation, no inspiration, no drive. We're now becoming embarrassing. No change is madness at this point. Clearly, the summer transfer dealings were a shambles, plus lack of funding, but a change is needed. Jimmy Foster, the spleen doctor Darren Smith needs to stop defending the Prince. He's greedy and needed to flog us in the summer. Picked us up for a song, and if he cared, he would have flipped us at 10 times the return. I think the Prince wants to sell, from what I understand. McCabe wanted to sell for 10 years and it didn't go. So we can't be relying on a sale for things to change. The Prince will be here to stay, I think, in all honesty. The hope I'm holding tonight for a change is that Darren himself, who has been a staunch defender of Eki, which will no doubt be his opinion if asked. If the Prince asks his opinion, he will tell him the truth in what he thinks. But if Darren is now saying enough is enough, then I'm sure the wheels are turning, to be honest. I might be wrong. I've not heard anything direct, but you need to be sacked for starting Fleck. Absolutely right. Wilder's been lined up for weeks, apparently. As much as Wilder would do better than Eki, I personally think we need a new system. 4 at the back, attacking wingers going forwards next season. With Wilder, it's going to be more of the same. This is an interesting one because I disagree, but only because of the situation we're in. We've recruited to this formation and it goes all through the tiers of the club. So under 21s play it, under 18s play it, all the youth academy plays it. Now that is dangerous because we can't be flexible. What we have to do is introduce an alternative. I'm not saying we have to stockpile players and get wingers in just in case and things like that, but we have to be able to be fluid with the system and be able to sort of change in games and stuff. I'm happy with the 3-5-2. I think it can work. We've seen it can work in various guises. Just because you play the same formation doesn't mean you're playing the same tactics. A lot of people point, oh, he's just picking up the Wilder team and playing as they played. We don't play anything like the way we played under Chris Wilder. And if Wilder comes in, I'm not saying we'll go back to the overlapping centre-backs or anything like that. You've got to work with the personnel that you've got. And I'm not saying over time, because at some stage you have to evolve that. We can't stick to 3-5-2 forever. And Wilder himself evolved it when we went up to Prem. We used to play with a 10 in Duffy, and then he moved Lundstrom into the team and moved it to a flat 3 to cope with the extra pressure we'd have in midfield. So things have to evolve. But I think a harsh change to a 4 and a completely different formation is something we won't do because we've invested too much. The whole club is built around the formation, which is dangerous, as I say. Warnock is a mental shout, says Billy. Can we for once not think out of nostalgia? Yeah, don't go for Warnock, go for Wilder. Worst recruitment, says Fairfield, in terms of his formation change. Get him gone. Said it all last season, says Daryl. Not just the last few weeks. He's not good enough. Felt he wasn't great last term. Don't know about Chris Wilder. I'd rather have Gene Wilder and he's dead. Listening now, Jimmy, I've not calmed down. It's depressing. I want Wilder, but if we get someone else, so be it. Eki and his management team are really poor. One question. Hudson, why, what? I know, mate. James Lyce, the sad thing is I'm just not surprised by the result. Angry, yeah, but not surprised. Fleck in a must-win game. What has Slimani got to do to start? I agree, pal. I agree. I midfield is not even League One standard. It wasn't today. Never said it before, Jimmy, but he's got to go and tell him to take his defensive coach with him. Absolutely right, Doug. And welcome to the club, pal. Everyone's welcome here. We're supposed to be up for sale, but I can't imagine we look like 100 million to potential owners. We don't, mate. Jimmy, as you know, I don't always agree with you, but finally, I think you're right. Thanks, mate. I'd rather not be. Time for Eki to go, but who? That's what worries me. Wes League One is his level. Christ, absolutely. Lost the dressing room, bang on. That's my opinion, and that's all it is, because we don't know that for sure. We don't. Obviously, the players come out and say all the right things. You know, we back the manager, blah, blah, blah. I'd say that and all, even if I didn't. Honestly, I don't know what to say, says Cody. Me neither, pal. Me neither. Wasn't keen on Wilder coming back, but now it has to be someone who will hurt as much as it will hurt as much as it does when we lose. It does us when we lose. I get what you're saying. There's no fighting the players, too passive, no tactics other than try and stay in the game. Ridiculous, isn't it? Let's hang on. Let's hang on against bottom at league Burnley, who've not picked up a point at home all season. They beat us 5-0. Embarrassing. We need a manager who's going to work the boys and drill a new system into them. We need a new keeper. We need to not start mids who are 1,000 years old, midfielders who are 1,000 years old. We need boys who want to be blades. Disgraceful. That's the thing. Even if we admit defeat and start not even admitting defeat, but long-term planning. Wes is not good enough. And he's by far our best, which is a nightmare, to be honest. Sign a Victor Johansson in January. Sign a Mike Cooper in January. Somebody like that. and play them. Play them and manage Wes out, whether you sell Wes in January or you sell Adam Davis or however you want to do it. Start the rebuild in January. There's no point not spending because in the summer we're going to have a clear out anyway. Let's start it early. If we think we're going to be in the Championship, then you can buy in players like Victor Johansson works. Get him some Premier League experience under the belt. The revolution needs to start now. Does anyone know what's going on with selling the club? Seems to be very quiet, says Matthew Mountain. It is very quiet, pal. No, I don't know anything about it. I'm hoping to have the Prince on the channel in next month, actually. So hopefully we'll get an update there. Thank you, Ian. Very much appreciated, pal. Donation to the channel from Coatsy. Utter shambles, says Lenny. Absolutely right. Broken is the word. Agree with everything you've said. That lineup was pitiful. Absolutely right, mate. It was. I didn't think we could win the league and fully expected us to struggle this season, says Sean. But I did expect us to give it a good go, like a team of players who have never trained with each other. Eki, please go. We're not a team, are we? We're a lineup of individuals who don't know what the others are doing. There's no patterns of play. There's nothing, is there? We used to see little triangles, intricate triangles on edge of box that used to confuse the opposition. It was such a well-drilled strategy. And I'm not saying it didn't get tired or figured out, and we'd have to evolve that over time. But there's nothing at the moment. Nothing at all. We kick off. It's late back to Norwood, who's the furthest man back on the pitch. He hoists it long for a 50-50. And if you've got George Baldock going up against the left centre half or Luke Thomas or even Trusty, whoever it is, it's not working. There's no plan. Need a change fast, says Simon. Not a fan of Wilder, but anyone has to be an improvement on that performance. Eki's good at playing against 10-man sides and nothing else. 5-0 against Leicester under Eki. Yeah. Were it 5-0? I thought it was 5-1. Yeah, probably right. Probably right, pal. What is it now? 3-point lane? Absolutely it is. Used to be such a fortress, didn't it? Today showed me Eki has lost the plot. His players don't want to play for him anymore. So thank you, Eki, but for the love of the club, please now go. There's no way he walks. Sack him now, says Cole, because that's right. That's the only way he's going. How he starts Fleck and Thomas is beyond me. Get out of the club now, Eki, and take Hudson with you. Send Thomas back. McAtee will be recalled in January, which is no great loss. Can't watch another match. Excuse me. My weekend is smashed. I'm proper gutted. We lost to Burnley in that way. Absolutely. If Eki's still here tomorrow, then we're staying at home till he goes. Never thought it could get this bad. Well done, Mark Hudson. Now, Foxtrot Oscar. Jimmy, you got a single glimpse of what Hamish should be doing when he broke through the lines and fed us. So, yes, you did. That was a good pattern of play. To be fair, you're right. You're right. Sack him now. Says, let's talk more play. Sick of it. Illiman made this team look good last season. New staff needed to be brought in. Billy Sharp, gaffer, Jags defensive coach. Clark, striker coach, as in Leon Clark, just signed for Miklova. Duffy, midfield coach. Coots, midfield coach. I see what you're doing there, Ollie. Bringing back legends of the club. However, none of them have been coaches before. So I like it. I like a blend. But, oh man, must be buying a new caravan tonight. Don't tempt me. We're done for. Our club is a joke. He needs to be gone. So does the owner. Loyal to managers and players is our downfall. If they don't play for the shirt or fight for the club, then get them gone. Absolutely right. Illiman going brokers, to be honest. He's doing rubbish now. Like us, double-headed saw. No improvement in what they're doing in training. No ideas. Same excuses after games. If he doesn't go before Wednesday, I'm staying away, and it kills me to say that. Absolutely right. Jimmy, the responsibility lays at the top. The Prince needs to get his act together, or this will turn out to be Groundhog Day. I think, to be honest, they'll know that. I was saying to my dad, if he doesn't make a choice, if he don't make a choice now, then I think people will start turning even more. I know he's got his detractors anyway, the Prince, but I think it'll get even more negative towards him in that way. Completely agree, Jimmy. Apathy sums it up. How bad is it that we no longer care? That should never be the case. This isn't Sheffield United. If we kept Tillman, we would have almost certainly had more points. He was our system. Now look at like a polystyrene sword going forward. No. 20 seconds says it all, says JC. 8-0 at home to Newcastle, and we're still no better. Enough said. Bonsoir, Anthony. Bonsoir, my friend. Should have been changed 3 weeks ago. They've all messed up. It's been route one over the top to a 5-foot striker all season, says Luke. Absolutely right. No plan. No plan. And if that is your plan, then you're absolutely appalling. Off you go. Turned it off at 2 today. Need something to lift them. Look like they're collecting a wage and not fighting for the club at the minute. Cameron Archer's got to be thinking, what am I doing here? What am I doing? Jimmy, the last time the Blades were this bad was in the dark times of the 70s. These players are collecting checks and listening to Eke. It's like Groundhog Day. Some crap, same crap in a different order. Should have got rid of the international break. Would have had a new manager settled by now. Completely agree. Completely agree. Beyond disappointment, just philosophical. Only way to deal with it. It's already too late for me. Thrashed by a bottom team. Regardless who comes in, it's written on the wall. I think if you, well, why wouldn't you write us off now? But we can't. We can't when there's so many games left to go. His mental ramblings midweek with a white flag. He should do the decent thing and resign. No chance. I thought going down to the odd division, 4th division was bad. This is even worse. And people from outside in will think that's daft because we're in the Premier League. But this is not fun. This is no fun at all, is it? Following us when we like this. Rolling over. Pathetic. Absolutely pathetic. I get it. It's going to keep the same thing and expect a different conclusion. You know what it is. Absolutely right. Get that Prince texted Jimmy, says Wayne. I can see it now. Sack Eke and get Hudson in. Don't joke. Do not even joke. 8-0 Newcastle was bad, but even the ref was terrible in that game. But 5-0 to bottom of the league is just heartbreaking at this point. Eke's lost all credibility and authority in the dressing room. Absolutely has. I'm now sore in the throat in saying Eke should be sacked, says Lee. Should have gone after the 0-8 defeat to Newcastle. Correct. Needs a reset on the field and off it. Correct, Anthony. It certainly does, pal. This channel is amazing because it allows us to have a rant. Eke's turned us into a bunch of clowns. Thank you, pal. Appreciate that. You are helping me. As, you know, you might not be able to see it. All the fans that travelled today ought to have their money refunded. Absolutely right, they should. Feeble excuses don't work anymore. Eke, get the hell out. While I agree with many things you've said tonight, let's remember we don't and can't compete financially. Sorry, I haven't pulled that one up. That's right. Kev, we can't. Eke hasn't spent well, but same as CW, wages are a million miles away from other Prem clubs. That's right. That's fair. That's fair. He needs to go, mate. Correct, Ricky. He does, mate. Evening, Jamal. I made up my mind after Newcastle. We've let it drift for 10 weeks. We have. Trusty, not an ounce of football in him. Not a trusty fan. He does switch off. I do like him, but he switches off. How is he still employed at the moment? Get him gone. 5-0 to Burnley is shameful. He can't even apologise to the fans. He's not bothered about the fans. This is what I can't. He never acknowledges us. Never. He was asked directly about us and he's like, yeah, we've had great support because they recognise how important it is to us. He's either blind to it or chooses to power through it and just, you know, not acknowledge it really. I wish we were like Luke, and that's naive to me because he needs us on side. I just wish we were like Luton. They don't have the team depth or quality of anyone, but they are still picking up odd points as they have a game plan. They look like they want to be there. They're motivated, aren't they? They haven't got the quality, but they're a motivated bunch, and they'll keep fighting, just like we used to be like, just like we expect us to be. What was McBurney thinking? I think it was an harsh second yellow, but you're right. You've got to be careful, ain't you, when you're on a yellow. Robinson was the only steady Eddie in the team. George believes his own publicity. I like George Baldock, but he was not at the races today, and he looked deflated. We're bottom. Wednesday have won the league. Livid, absolutely. Get Sharp and Jags back in ASAP, not to play, to coach or manage, even a Chris Morgan. Yeah, I think so. Ugson out, Jags in. Jimmy, I beg you, please bring in Wilder. If you think anything, I have any influence over this, Mark, at all, if I did, which I don't, then I would have been all over it by now. Absolutely all over it. I'm just seeing if we've had anything at all. Football ever. Chris Wilder got to be in for Monday. Oh, no. Absolutely disgusting. This team needs docking wages. Eke, my boy, I hate to say this, but out you go. Not a fan of CW, but I'll take him by 10 o'clock, please. Oh, no. oh God, for this coming Wednesday. Take my hat off to all our faithful away fans. Absolutely right, Paul. We've said it since Newcastle, Jimmy. It's time for one of our own. Eki wants out. You could tell in the press conference. I thought so. Where is the post-match? After we hear what he says, absolutely right. I haven't heard it yet. I don't know if he's done it. There's no money to give a new manager in January. I think even if there isn't, you can change things. Send McAtee back. Send Thomas back. Use your 2 domestic loans for something different. Sell Max Lowe. Sell Vinny Souza for me. You know, there's things we can do. If Wilder, I think Wilder has always been most effective when on a budget. I think one of his, I'm going to say few downfalls, but I don't want to leave myself wide open for major criticism because I'm a huge fan, as you know. But I think it was his spending in the Premier League that let him down, certainly second season. But anyway, years ago, I went into the car park at the lane to protest. Eki has to go. He hasn't done good. I dread Liverpool. Absolutely right. Wilder in on a permanent basis. Jimmy coming in as new manager to the end of the season. Jimmy, why aren't you in focus, or is it my eyes? I think I should be, mate. Sorry if I'm not, but I think it looks like I am here. I might just be raging. I might be shaking with rage. I think it's on its way. Press conference hasn't come out yet. Good. Ashley, no. Wilder or Lampard or Big Sam. Oh. We've got no money. Why would any manager want to come? Because Wilder's the fit, isn't he? I think, to be honest, Paul. I'm just fed up with the disappointment time after time. We'll struggle in the Championship next season if the team plays with no effort and let teams... Okay. Remember, it's never as good as you think and never as bad as you think, but it's time for a change. Why bring in players and don't play them? Absolutely right. What's Slimani got to do? You can taste the apathy every game. It seems like everyone expects it. Club, Hecky, players, fans, that's a terrible and dangerous situation to be in. Too right, Johnny, it is. Too right. They now look like a pub team, sorry to say. They're awful. Ian Everett from Bolton. Time for Hecky to step down and take his League One coaching staff with him. It's a shame, innit? Because we love Jackie Lester and Stuart McCaw, Blades legends. How is that 2 out of the 3 coaches that were ex-Blades players and know what it means to play in the red and white? And now we're an embarrassment to the fans. Absolutely right. Bringing Houdini, Neil Warnock with Jags and Sharp to get things back on track. Yeah, might actually go down, but make a fight of it. See them not doing anything till after Liverpool. No chance. You can't wait till then. It's got to be tonight. Wish I'd have put my fiver on Burnley now. White flag, says Rye. He's waving the white flag. Can't even take the mick out of Burnley for the 5-2 anymore. No, we cannot. Offer Eki the under-23 job again. He's not a Premier League manager. He needs a complete overhaul. Ideas, tactics, get the group together. Bring back the war fitters on the players. New energy. Build the team for League One. Oh, don't. I need a hug. Feel so downhearted. Sorry, Bri. Sorry I can't be there, mate. I might see you Wednesday. I've seen some good and bad times from being a kid in the early 60s, but this is the worst I can ever remember. Wow. Get him out. He's rubbish. Even before the sending off, we were never in it. No, we weren't. We were nowhere near. We were miles off, weren't we, Rob? Gutted, love Eki, but it's now time, Jimmy. No plan A, no plan B. Through to Z. He's garbage. Absolutely useless. He inherited a good squad when he came in, but this team is worse than the team that came up last season. That's right. My dad, we're getting messages of abuse off his Leeds mates at half time, and they were saying they've now got a better team in Championship than they had in the Premier League. My dad were laughing because it's opposite for us. We have a worse team in Premier League than we had in Championship, which is ridiculous. Let's go down with some fight and passion in CW. Absolutely. Text my daughter who was starting Fleck, and she said straight away it's a loss. She'll bang on, Rob. Bang on. Jimmy, I said Eki got lucky by stumbling across McAtee and Doyle. Yeah, you're right. That's exactly what happened, to be honest. Corner flag. I'm waiting for it. Imagine Eki stays and we beat Liverpool 1-0. Don't. Listen, I'd love to beat Liverpool 1-0, but we're not going to beat Liverpool. We're Eki in charge. He said in an interview that he can leave Burnley with his head held high when talking about his future. What? What? Have you had a drink? You need one. Always seem to be. We need one these days. I have had a quick Moretti. At least we can watch on Match of the Day. So excited. Harry Haslam will be turning in his grave. No point in saying what everyone else is saying, though. I agree, Mr. Ramble, you're helping to articulate my feelings, and I appreciate that a lot. Thank you, pal. I'm going to try and not be too much longer. Enough is enough now. Eki needs to pack his bags. No pride, no passion, no fight. Eki split the fan base, and he turned us from a solid team to clowns. It's embarrassing, isn't it? It's embarrassing. Hang on. Club statement. Paul, don't do this to me, mate. Don't do this to me. No, can't see out. Can't see anything. Okay. It's one of the first times ever bottom of the league has been playing someone 2 places above and been favourite. Surely we can't keep going with stuff like this. You've been done by somebody that's retweeted the old January 21 club statement. Wilder's useless without Neil. That's an interesting point because he's working with Wales, isn't he? Old Alan Neil. Whatever we do now, we've got to plan for a promotion push next season. To be honest and forget any short-term gains. It's all about the longer term. Decide our style of play. Get a coaching team who are hungry and can achieve it. Sort out the contracts for the players we want to keep. Play them. Sell players who aren't in our plans. Sort out a category. Cat A academy. Absolutely right. Be ready and come back swinging. Would love that. Someone like Gary O'Neill, who's desperate to prove himself at this level, is needed. Not sure who that is, but still. I was Eki in, Jimmy, but he has to now and take some time off them players. I've had enough of this dross. No Warnock, Wilder or Sharp, but more Toll consultancy. Action location. Asula looks loads better than Archer. I love Archer. I can't give up on Archer yet. He should already be sacked and told to make his own way back home after that embarrassing performance. Luton giving every team a fight. Andre Brooks and Will Asula next season. Absolutely right. Absolutely right. Okay. Right. I'm just going to double check some comments because I'm going to wrap it up here, guys. But I really appreciate you joining me on what is an absolutely miserable day for the club. Slimani has to start against Liverpool and get some game time in. I love Wilder, says Chris, but he'll play the same formation that's destroying us right now. We need something fresh and new. I disagree with it and completely entitled to say that, but it's not the formation, it's the way that you play the formation. And we've got the players to fit the formation, but it's not working, is it? It's not working at the minute. Right. You're doing a great job, Jimmy. I feel it all with you. Keep it up. Thank you, pal. I appreciate it. Right, I'm going to call it there. Thank you, everybody. Really appreciate you joining me tonight. It's miserable into it a minute, but I'm confident that the silver lining to this horrendous result will be a corner flag at some stage. I'll be amazed if he survives this. He can't survive this. Where do we go from here if he stays? He's not going to stay. He's not. We're done. He's gone. And hopefully it gives us a glimmer of hope, not necessarily a staying up, but into the future of our club. So for now, come on, you red and white wizards. Up the blades. Ramble!